Alright, what's up guys? How we doing? I just saw Novocaine, and this movie is an absolute banger. When the girl of his dreams is kidnapped, a man incapable of feeling physical pain turns his rare condition into an unexpected advantage in the fight to rescue her. And we got Jack Quaid in this movie playing our main protagonist Nate Kane as a guy who has this rare condition to where he can't feel any pain. Bow and arrow through the leg? Nothing. Reaching your hand in hot oil to get a gun and kill a dude? You're good. Like it said in the movie, he's basically a superhero. We also have Amber Midthunder, Ray Nicholson, and Jacob Batalon in this movie, and it is directed by Dan Burke and Robert Olsen, written by Lars Jacobson. And when those directors' names popped up on the screen at the end, I was shocked because I had thought somebody at least I had heard of before directed this movie because of how awesome it is. But no, these dudes have done a few movies, nothing major, nothing that I've ever seen. And the writer as well, Lars Jacobson, has pretty much not done anything else either, which is once again shocking because this movie, the script, it's funny as shit. It's so creative. And everyone behind the camera just did such a good job in my opinion. This movie is definitely hilarious. I was laughing out loud, chuckling, pretty much from the beginning to end, very frequently throughout this movie. And just the way they utilize Nate not being able to feel pain, not only in a creative way, but it adds to the humor in an absolute hilarious way. Because he'll be stuck in situations, strapped to a chair, and there's a scene where this dude, is trying to torture him. And, the guy is twisting the bow and arrow that's stuck in his thigh, twisting it around, pulling off fingernails and stuff like that. And Jack Quaid has to, act and pretend like he's feeling all this pain. Part of that is in the trailer, but there's much more in the actual film, and I was on the floor, dude. That shit was so funny. And just other scenes too where he's, in the middle of a fight and he has to hurt himself some sort of way, he's punching glass in one scene or he's in handcuffs, just little stuff like that if he were, any normal person feeling pain would not be able to do this unless you're fucking crazy. But there's so many creative situations that just adds to the experience of this film. And it's just so entertaining, and this movie is so fun to watch. But yeah, Nate gets just absolutely fucked up in this movie multiple times. He's getting, just hit left and right, stabbed, broken bones, whatever it is, he gets fucked. And by the end of the movie, you're just like, fucking, how's this dude still alive? It is a movie, so you have to give it that. But still, even though we can't feel pain, if I were him, I would still be feeling a little anxiety, feeling a little, concern for my fucking health. But this guy's in love, so he doesn't really give a fuck. And this movie doesn't really take too long to get started either. There's obviously, there's setup, build up in the beginning. He goes on the first date with this girl and, kind of establish who he is as a person, explaining his condition and all that. But then this bank robbery happens and it's just nonstop from there to the end. If it's not throwing all this action at you, it's giving you humor, or sometimes it's giving you both. This movie is always just engaging you at all times. And there is, kind of a small twist, about halfway through this film, they're leading you one way and you're kind of also questioning, like, why would they do that? What's the point of doing this? And then the reveal happens, it's not nothing crazy, but it was still kind of like, oh fuck. We also got Ray Nicholson in this film playing, pretty much just the main villain, and he is literally born to play roles like this. Obviously he's the son of Jack Nicholson, one of the greatest actors of all time, but Ray was also in Smile 2, last year, just a small part, but he kind of is just made to play this type of dude. Like, he is such a good villain. He's so menacing. He's really scary, not in the same way that he was in Smile 2. It's more just, like I said, threatening. And he's also actually fucking hilarious in this movie as well. He was one of the funniest parts, especially, at the end, towards the end, there's this ambulance scene that just had me dying as well. And that's because he also just gives off such psycho vibes. Like, this dude is fucking crazy. And I really want to see Ray Nicholson in a lot more movies, I don't want to typecast him and all that, but I want to see him as a villain in a lot more because he is really just made for it. Then we have Jacob Batalon in this movie who plays Roscoe, Nate's supposed, best friend. They've never met each other. They just kind of play online RPGs together. I believe they're playing World of Warcraft. I'm not quite sure. I don't play those types of games, but they only chat online. So Nate gets himself into one situation where, he has to turn to Roscoe to come save him, kind of dragging him along, into all of this, conspiracy, murder, whatever it is, all this crime. And the scene where they first meet is fucking hilarious as well because they've never met in person. So what do people who game like that, they're gonna lie, tell you one thing and then when you see them, they're another thing, and that shit was funny too. And one of the biggest surprises for me was also Amber Midthunder in this movie, who plays Sherry, the girl who gets kidnapped, who Nate wants to go after to save because, he's in love with her, essentially. And I would say she definitely looked familiar, but I couldn't really exactly pinpoint what she was from. But, after looking it up, going on IMDb, she was the main character in 2022's Prey, the Predator, one of the Predator sequels. And that blows my mind because she was so good in that movie, but in such a different way, obviously, And I really thought she did a good job in this movie too. I really liked her character, her and Jack Quaid's, chemistry is definitely there. They're both funny. They're both, super charming. She definitely has her fair share in this movie, fight scenes, whatever it is. She's obviously done this before because of how awesome she is in Prey. And so, yeah, I would say that she's pretty badass in this movie, very likable. There is one part where you're just like, you kind of don't like her for a little bit. You're kind of like, fuck this girl. But by the end, you're like, she's awesome. I want them to be together. You kind of do want them to have this relationship. And I would say that the action in this movie, all the fight scenes, the choreography, it's pretty good. It's no John Wick, even though it is that kind of John Wick type of, style fighting. Super intense fights that don't really have a lot of editing. The camera's not shaking and it's not cutting, where you can't really tell what's going on. They're focused on them and they're using the stuff that's around them to fight, whether it's pans or, stuff in the ambulance at the end, whatever it is, they're using what's around them to fight. And it was awesome. It was super entertaining. I definitely want to watch this movie again without a doubt. I don't know if I'll go back to the theaters, but, whenever it's streaming or whatever it is, I can't wait to watch it again. It's the other thing that's so awesome about this movie is that the rewatchability is just through the roof. There's just so much there to want to go back and revisit. The comedy, the action, Jack Quaid's charm, charisma. There's just so much to this movie to like. And this movie is definitely, along with the action, it's not just punching and all that. This movie gets pretty violent. It kind of surprised me a little bit in some parts where I'm like, like you kind of do wince. It kind of has that element to it. And it's definitely not afraid to shock you in some sort of way with the violence. And I know we just got Jack Quaid in Companion, just a little over a month ago. I liked that movie. I was a huge fan. I had a fun time with that movie as well. But I'm taking this movie without a doubt. It's just so much more entertaining. And I know it's only March, we're halfway through March. I've seen close to 20 movies this year so far, and this is without a doubt my favorite movie of the year so far. And the script is honestly just so original. The writing in this movie, with the jokes and once again utilizing all the stuff, the premise of this movie and what a man who can't feel pain, what he's going to do in these fights. So yeah, I would say definitely go out and see this movie. You're gonna have a blast with it just like I did, I promise you. But yeah, those are just my thoughts, guys. As always, I appreciate you watching. I'm gonna give this movie a solid 8.5 out of 10. Like, subscribe, comment. My name is Zach. I will see you on the next one.